All right. Good afternoon and welcome to Sunday Brunch with Linda. I've got a very exciting show today. So let's get started with our intro. All right. Well, welcome to today's show. As I mentioned, I'm very excited. I have been working on something seriously since yesterday. Um because I really wanted to do a show based on something that the Most High actually shared with me back in 2017, actually, when that eclipse happened. So, what we're going to talk about today is today's subject is the tribulation for blacks has started. I believe that the tribulation started August the 21st, 2017, and it's going to end. I have on here August 21st, 2024, but I just actually saw some information that that's probably going to change to April the 8th, 2024. And we're going to talk about why I feel that way. All right. So, again, I really hope that you guys enjoy this because this is based on some research and some scriptures that I've been that I actually have a lot in my books because I'm a author, so I definitely this is really the subject that I write on. But I just want to kind of start off with how I got here, okay? Because I think that uh, most of us grew up in the church, right? And I really believe that we used to hear about the woolly hair that Jesus had in the Most High, and the burnished skin like burnt copper. But we always the pastors, Sunday school teachers, they never really elaborated on it. It was like, okay, we don't need to know about that. And it's like, yeah, we do. Okay. But unfortunately, when you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to be more godly, um, this is what you run into questions that they don't have answers for, and then they get an attitude with you because you ask these questions. So I don't even have to tell you how once I started doing my own research and started doing my own books, um, that I had to leave the church because I realized that they weren't teaching us the things that we really needed to know to be successful in here because they were only going by the game plan that they had been told. But here's my thing. You have to, if you know that you're ready for your life to change, and I think most people don't get there until they were feeling like I was feeling, which is I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I really seriously mean that. I am so tired of being sick and tired. So I decided to go ahead and step out there on faith and just really, see what it is that God had for me because I knew that there was something more important in my life. Now, I don't know about you. Oh, so they're not going to show my. Oh, okay. I don't know why that's not showing. That's okay. I'll make sure that I have it on here. I was trying to make sure that I could share this hmm, on my Facebook page, but I'm not going to get distracted because that's again another trick of the enemy is to keep you distracted and off topic for what it is you're talking about. But I was sick and tired. I said I know there's got to be something more. I've always had a passion for reading and writing, and I always knew that that's something that I wanted to do. In 2006, I just stepped out there on faith, reached out to a traditional publisher, I sent them a manuscript. They liked it. I worked with them. It was sort of what we call today a hybrid publisher. They didn't have that term back then. Um, and so I started working with them to get this book out. And it was a great experience because what it taught me was how to do it myself. And see, this is why I tell you, people, there are some people, this is why I've always knew that I needed to be an entrepreneur because it doesn't take me long to figure out something. And once I could get the knack of it, I get bored and I need to move on. And unfortunately, since I tend to, the Most High bless me with that type of mind that I pick up stuff very quickly. And not only, and my partner Dirty's like that too. Not only do I pick up stuff quickly, but then I can kind of rework it to make it work for me. And I ran into a lot of problems on the job with managers and supervisors who really felt that I was trying to take their job. I actually had them ask me, I actually had managers ask me, are you trying to steal my job? And my response was always, you don't even want this piece of crap. Why the hell do I want it? I've had supervisors, and I've discussed this before on my show, that used to, because when social media exploded back in 2010, that's when I started my publishing company, Spoken Word Press, and just really started really doing my research on social media to see how I could make these books take off, because marketing has always been something that just something that I've always had in my life. I've always had always owned a small business that I worked from home in my early 20s. I've never ever wanted to work for anybody. My very first job, I was sort of like the little guy that worked at McDonald's and got his check and said, "Who is FICA? And why did they take half of my money?" I felt the same way. And that's why when I started doing multi-level marketing and they started talking about the pyramid, I was right up there with them. I agreed with the people that I dealt with at that time, the leaders that I had, because working in corporate America, you see that all the money's at the top and all the workers, the little people, are at the bottom. So don't let them discourage you with that crap when you start saying, "Hey, I've got a multi-marketing thing that I'm working on." And I wanted to tell you about it. They always go to blacks, and this is what makes me mad about black people. And yes, I'm black. We always listen to the naysayers instead of getting out there and actually doing the research ourselves to see if this would work. I can't begin to tell you how my life has just really been awesome, only because I've learned how to work with the network level marketing, MLM as they call them, and just learn how to use different things. You just have to learn how to, just like on a job, you just have to learn how to use what you learned on this job, maybe and apply it on the next job, and take some stuff that you took on that you learned on that job, but put it on your third job or put it towards your business. But I digress. I just wanted to let you know that I also had to wait until my mind was right to believe this right here, that we are the Most High's chosen people, even though it says this in the book. And for those of you that don't believe me, check this out. Now, bear with me. I'm hoping I don't mess up anything here because I've got it on my screen share. But what you want to do, see if I can do this and get back over there. I hope I don't screw up, guys. Okay, what you want to do is go to like Bible Gateway. I have them on I have the app, and of course, as you can see, I have it on my phone, on my computer. And what you want to do is, see, because these churches will tell you, "Oh, go to Deuteronomy 28 and read about the blessings. Read about the blessings." No, because that's going to just get you just as confused as they are. Because they do not read they'll read certain scriptures and words that basically pertains to their life at that particular time. Take that advice and then move with it. I have to read the whole chapter because I want to know why we got there, how we got there. I'm just that type of person. And unfortunately, since people don't like to read, this is why they're just being so deceived. It is just disgusting. But like I said, I want you to, in order to find out who the true Hebrew. There we go. Who the who the real true chosen people are? Go to Deuteronomy 28, and like I said, don't just bypass those blessings. Don't even pay attention to that, okay? Because nobody has gotten there yet, okay? Here, where you want to start is right here. Curses for disobedience. Because the people, we are now under this curse. This curse is supposed to be lifted in 2019. And I'm going to be real honest with you because just like everybody else, and there is a scripture where he says that we are the Hebrew Israelites, the blacks that came from Africa through slavery, who ran into Africa to get away from all the condemnation that they were going through with the Islams and the Romans. So we went to Africa. The Hamites, which are the African people, and we're going to talk about that in another showing because the African people want us to come back. But it was the African people, a lot of them, the Hamites, that actually sold the Hebrew Israelites into slavery because honestly, a lot of them were envious and jealous because a lot of the Hebrew Israelites were attorneys, lawyers, philosophers, teachers, and they wore clothing because a lot of the Hamites, because you're not over in Africa where it's like what 200 degrees every day, and a lot of them did not wear clothes. So, but a lot of the Hebrew Israelites, even though they grew up in that African desert, because guess what? A lot of you people, because once again, this is the kind of deception that the enemy likes to do. They called Israel the Middle East because they didn't want to tell you people, since the Israelites that are over there now stole our identity and moved in and moved all the Palestinians out, and the Palestinians actually belong over there. Okay. But they basically told us, oh, you don't want to go to Africa. That is not the place that you really want to go to, and you will not be well received there. And unfortunately, I have heard that from a lot of people that have blacks that have went over there um, to Africa because according to the curse of Canaan. And this is another thing that a lot of the churches get screwed up. And like I said, I really want to talk about this at another time because I really want to get into this teaching today. But with the curse of Canaan, remember Japheth. Then these were all the sons of Noah: Japheth, Shem, and Canaan. Now he cursed Canaan. He cursed Canaan. Noah cursed Canaan because his son saw him naked, and he said that Canaan will always serve, because the Canaanites are the Hamites. So the Canaanites will always serve Japheth. Okay. And the Japheth would steal the land that Shem, and we are the tribe of Shem, Shem, from Noah's tribe. That should actually be in what they call the Middle East, which is actually Israel, which is actually in Africa. Okay. um, and that the Hamites will actually serve both of us in the end. Okay, so that's a teaching for another day, but I just want to kind of bring that up to you again, just to kind of show you how I got here. But don't read the blessings. If you want to see who the true Israelites are, Hebrew Israelites, you got to look at the curses. You got to look at the curses. And I mean the curses like, look, I usually start with 30, Deuteronomy 30. You will be pledged to be married to a woman, but another will take her and rape her. And this is what we had. So if you go through all of this, you will see that we are that hits us. That doesn't hit the because they always like to try to say it's the Holocaust. No, only 6 million people died in the Holocaust. We lost over 9 million just in the boat ride from Africa over to the U.S. But they don't tell you about that, do they? They don't want to talk about that. See, and so this is why I'm not going to lie to you. I've had a hard time putting this PowerPoint presentation together because I knew it was going to be difficult. And I knew I'm not going to lie to you. I knew I was going to get attacked once I did this by the enemy because when you go back and read my books and see the kind of stuff that I put out there, you will understand why I say you got to be well. But I can't. I seriously cannot be afraid not to put this information out because it needs to get out. All right. So let's see why I've got all that on here. Here's presenting to everyone. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys could still see that. Okay. So so again, here's what I wanted to do. I do apologize. Wanted to make sure my chat line was open in case somebody wanted to chat. So I am opening up the group chat. All right. So if you want to I'll just put chat here, leave comments here, because we're going to get into this. Because you know what, guys, every day, okay, you notice that we're not seeing a decrease in the police shootings and all of this. We're not showing that. What we're seeing is a total increase. All right, bear with me. Let me get back to where I was so I can. Okay, there we go there. So you know what? Let me see if I can pull up. Why are you doing this to me? I knew I would screw up. Okay, so I've got my live chat up. All right, so let's go ahead and see if we can get right into the show. Here we go. All right, so let's get back. So again, my journey to find out that we really are the true Hebrew Israelites started really with the whole Michael Brown thing. I mean, I had heard about Trayvon Martin in Florida and Tamir Rice, but Michael Brown really hit home, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so the blacks are the Most High's chosen people. Our tribulation has already started. The racism and assaults that blacks are experiencing today are worse than I've ever seen in my 60 plus years. Police brutality and the killing of unarmed black men and women is at an all-time high with no end in sight. Now, Michael Brown was murdered. This is why I say this is why it's so close to me. Michael Brown was murdered less than 6 miles from where I live. As a matter of fact, that little convenience store that they ended up, the prosecuting attorney at that time, Robert McCullough, they all went back and had this man say that this boy robbed him. That was such a lie. I used to go to that Ferguson market because I actually lived in those those apartments right around the corner from where that was. And I'm here to tell you, they used to, and if you live in the city, or if you live where you have a lot of Muslim or Arab store owners, you'll see that they laugh and joke with these guys on a regular basis. And they used to do this all the time. So I knew that that was a bunch of crap. That he went in there and robbed him. He was in there playing with that man, just like they always said. And FYI, they ended up closing that store down. So I'm not sure what happened behind that. But they went in there. The best thing we did was to get Robert McCullough out as prosecuting attorney for St. Louis County and put Wesley Bell in there because this Robert McCullough had his own agenda. They like I said, we're going to go into, like I said here, look, I witnessed the injustice that let's see, he was murdered less than 6 miles from where I live. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, guys, but this is it's just so personal to me. So I witnessed the injustices that the Justice Department, I remember Eric Holder and the Justice Department came in and they talked about, they investigated, and the report contained about Ferguson and the other small municipalities using black citizens to fund the city's budgets. And just to let you know that there's so much truth there, I'm like right around the corner from an area called Breckenridge Hills. Okay, so on the news recently, there's a street there that is just absolutely horrible. And so they were on the news asking them, why don't you guys get this fixed? Well, since they're no longer ticketing black folks just for being black and driving down St. Charles Rock Road, they don't have any money to get that road fixed. Now, isn't that horrible? So, hmm, I'm here to tell y'all better wake up because there's some stuff going down, and I'm going to try to include what I'm talking about after I finish this presentation. But let me just say this. See, don't get all up in arms with this whole immigration, even though how they're treating these people are horrible. But guess what? How they've treated us for 400 years has been horrible. So do we really expect any more from them? Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. These immigrants, I'm hoping that they're paying attention to I'm trying bear with me. I'm trying to say this so that I don't offend anybody, because trust me, we understand that it was our government that destabilized your countries with the drugs and the money and stuff that they did, which is why the immigration problem has arisen. Okay, if you don't know that, you need to do your research. You need to turn off Netflix and do your research. Okay, but that's one of the things. But what you guys don't understand, and see, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit here, but I since I'm at it now, I just have to go there. Okay, since I'm right here now, because you know me, I'll forget. But I believe, because there is a scripture that tells us that where the Most High says, "I'm sending you back to your own nations, to your own lands, to your own land of birth." Because I really believe with everything in me, and we're going to talk about this in here when we get to the eclipses, that the Most High has plans for the U.S. and they're not good at it. We have just basically pretended like there is no God in the U.S. We are our own God, and as most of you that are paying attention to the news, just like if you're familiar with the story of David and King Saul, Trump is our King Saul. So notice how, remember when David, when they first got together, David and King Saul, at first King Saul was crazy about David, remember? And then they went out to battle, and David killed more people than King Saul did. And the people started praising David, and King Saul lost his mind. Who's that sound like? See, because they're sitting up here, these white evangelicals and these black ones too. I'm not even taking y'all out. TD Jakes, Bill Winston, all y'all, you guys are just as culpable as the rest of them. So you guys are sitting up here realizing that we are on the path of destruction and still not saying anything. You're still preaching the prosperity gospel. Say it. You're not gonna live to see any of that. All right, so let me move on. Okay, so again, so Michael Brown was murdered less than 6 miles from where I currently live today. Okay, so we are very familiar with all the injustices that are going on. Look, when will this justice end? I cried out. I cried out to the Most High. When will this end? And this is what I was told. Your 400 years of captivity is almost up. 1619 to 2019. So of course, I had to start researching that just to make sure I wasn't tripping, right? All right, hold on, guys. I'm just gonna put this broadcast. Okay, bear with me. Of Sunday Brunch. All right, so remember we're on YouTube now. Okay, under my One Nation Network and our One Universal production. And because I'm going to share, like I said, on the link below. All right, there we go. All right, sorry about that. So when will this justice end? I asked. When is this going to end? Because it's at the point now that every day we're seeing this. We're seeing this every freaking day. Did you guys? I didn't include this because I'm sure I probably just did a video of it. I'm sure you guys saw the video in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, a 4-year-old girl picked up a Barbie, and if you've got 4-year-old grandkids or kids, you know you got to watch them. But I used to train my son before we went into a store. Don't ask for nothing. Don't pick up nothing. It was just that simple. Unless I was in the mood to buy him something. But you just had a bunch of cops surround a family. It was male, female, their baby. I think she was holding a 1-year-old in her arm. They had a 4-year-old in the back seat. She was the one that actually took the little $1 Barbie doll. Cops came up and said they was going to put a cap in their asses and blow their heads off. I mean, just didn't even introduce themselves. But so what part of the enemy, and we're going to talk about this because I do have this in here, likes to use the tactic of fear. Did you know that fear is a spirit? Did you know that? Because remember, the Most High says, I did not give you a spirit of fear. Okay. So this is what this man, with all of this, and here's what I want you to think. These are what we call, and you got to get my book, Invisible Enemies. These are what we call invisible enemies. People whose hearts are not right. You might look at them and think like this picture here of this guy, like, okay, I might be concerned that we might be hurting this person, but guess what? I'm not gonna say anything to my coworkers because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be pointed out as the person that had an objection to the way that we were discriminating and hurting this black man. Look at the look on this man's face. See how he has no compunction. Let me share a true story with you guys. In 2004. For those of you that might know my story, I used to be into the new age movement long from the age of 16 to like in my 40s. Long time. I mean, and I was into all of it: tarot reading, horoscope charts, chanting, all of it. And let me tell you something. Every time I did a reading on somebody, I hit it 100%. Not 90%, not 95%, not 98%, 100%. Do you hear me? Okay. So I know that I have a talent. Thank God the Most High put somebody in my life to get me away from that. And then he put me back into the kingdom. And because I was trying to serve two masters, I'm not going to lie to you. I still loved him, but I was still doing all of the demonic stuff that I was doing, and then he just finally sent somebody my way. And this is what turned my life around. And after that, guess what? My dreams came true. I started writing my books and I hit the Amazon bestsellers list. So dreams do come true, but you got to know, you got to wait for him and let him tell you what it is that he wants you to do. Because if I had a did it on my own, I would be a multimillionaire now. But all of my books would be so trifling and nasty and dirty. Because let's keep it real. Remember, I used to sell lingerie toys and all that stuff back in the day. So I would be sitting here a multimillionaire if I decided to go that route. But I couldn't go that route because that's not where my heart is. My heart, even though I was dealing with the New Age movement, my heart had always remained with the Most High. So, so he finally opened up to me that, yeah, you are indeed my chosen people. Okay, and there's some, if you go online and see, what people talk about YouTube and being online and the different websites. But if it wasn't for the YouTube and these different websites, a lot of this stuff that we're finding out about who we are, we never know. So definitely shout out to my boy um, Dalton with Hebrews to Negroes. You guys have got to see that movie. And my boy Tariq that does the Hidden Colors. You guys have we as African Americans or Black people, whatever terminology you want to use, our whole history has been whitewashed, erased, lost, hidden. So we have to go back to really find out who we are. This is why we're so lost. Do you know we are the only nation that is just totally like we don't have a clue who we are, who we belong to, what it is we want to do, and this is why they take advantage of us. But guess what? These curses were supposed to take place. Again, if you go back to that Deuteronomy 28, remember I got that there. I'm not going to click on it. But if you go back and read those curses, everything that we deal with. Okay, here's a perfect example. It says in there, in Deuteronomy 28, under the curses, you will make things with your hands, but you will never ever get the financial enjoyment from it. I want you to think about all of the recording artists, all the actors, singers that you know that are African American, that either before they died or in the midst of their popularity. Think about Bill Cosby. They locked him up and start taking their money back. Okay, that's because it wasn't time. But I think 2019, I think we are August of 2019. I really believe is going to be our wake up call. And just if even more information for those of you that are still on the fence about who is the real chosen people of the Most High. Again, slavery is Bible prophecy. See that? Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 through 68. And these are, remember I said, that's what I like. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, here's where a lot of people get confused. Okay. If you remember, and I don't want to pull up the map because I don't want to lose my PowerPoint presentation here, but if you look at a map of Africa, if you look up Israel and Egypt, you can actually walk into Egypt. They were, remember, whenever there was a problem with the Hebrew Israelites, like when Jesus was born, and the angel told Joseph, take him and Mary and go into Egypt. That's because the people were black in Egypt. Remember? Now, come on now. Y'all know the people were black in Egypt. So if you're sending white folks to go and hide in Egypt among black folks, do you think that's going to work? No. But if you send black folks that are Hebrew Israelites into Egypt that with black folks that are actually Hamites, you can't tell the difference. So you can then mix yourself and mingle and hide amongst the Hamites. Okay. So this is so again, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now you might want to say, well, why would they need ships? Well, we consider America the second Egypt. And I want you to think about the Washington Monument, the obelisks, a lot of the stuff that they took from Egypt and put in and made sure that they had it right there in Washington. Okay. All right. So, by the way, whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And most of our, if you think about it, from 1619, probably up until Marcus Garvey in what, 1950? Everybody that were on those slave ships from 1600 never saw their land again. And think about it. I used to work for the airline. This is just how the media, mainstream media, can just really manipulate your mind. I used to work for the airline. Now I did want to take a trip over to Israel, but of course, as soon as I started with TWA, they stopped that line from St. Louis to Israel, Tel Aviv. Okay, but everything happens for a reason. I'm telling you. I'm here to tell you. Okay, so and then I wanted to go to Egypt, but then of course, then I got all caught up with the whole Bahamas, Jamaica thing, and woo. But they never saw the country of Africa or Egypt again. All right. And therefore thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondswomen, and no man shall buy you. And they really did. And they basically bartered for them. Okay. And then here's another one, Deuteronomy 28:37. Now you just tell me that these do not apply to Black Americans. And you shall become a horror, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord shall lead you. Akata, Cusham, Kafir. See where they're calling them all these names? Look at that. Yep. And look, a church wall in Russia. See, they know. They know who we are. Isn't it sad? Now, why is this over in Russia? Why is this not in the United States? Could it be because Russia, China, and most of the other countries know exactly who we are? I read somewhere, and even Hitler knew who we were. Did you know that? I read somewhere that I don't know if it was Vladimir Putin or somebody from Russia that said if black people in the United States realized that the government, our government, knew exactly who we are and what belongs to us, and that they have successfully hidden this from us for years, they said that they know it would cause worldwide riots. Okay? And think about it. We've had everything stolen from us, but it's time for us to wake up. See, he said it's time to wake up because here's the thing, nothing, even the stuff I was working on, I'm gonna be real honest with you. Do you know how I would love to see the Invisible Enemies made into not only a movie but a TV series? Because it's 3 books and it talks about what we're talking about now, just people that are just evil, you know. But I know now that I just have to wait until it's time. Okay, because to be honest with you, if you think about everybody that has created something, like you look at Bill Gates, you look at Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, look at let's look at those two. Oh, and Amazon, because the Jeff Bezos with Amazon. See how the government has tried to come after them and take what belongs to them. You know, I honestly believe that the government has paid off Zuckerberg and for Facebook and whoever owns Google, because they needed that control. Because see, once we started getting online and going on YouTube, and people start sharing information that they had, see, it opened up a network of people going, "Hey, did you guys know this?" I'm like, "No, we didn't know this, but did you know this?" "No, we didn't know this." Okay, so now the powers that be are like, "Okay, we've opened up way too much information for them, and they're finding out stuff we didn't want them to discover." And I want you to remember that also in the book of Daniel, there is a scripture where the Most High tells Daniel, he says, "Eat up that book, put that book in your stomach, because you won't be able to understand what's going on until you get to the time of knowledge." And I think that's our time that we're in now. It's time for us to take our rightful inheritance. Uh, Here are the what we call the real prophets and what they look like back in the day. That's Jeremiah, Hosea, and Malachi. All right. Are they not Israelites? Again, Deuteronomy 28, 14 through 68. So again, don't listen to your pastors and those idiots telling you to read the blessings. Those blessings don't apply to you yet. Yet. Okay. You need to read the curse so you can find out who you are. Okay. Look at all the names we've been called. And this just lets you know because they didn't know what to call us because they knew that they were still in our identity. So we've been nigger, colored, African American, Afro American, African American, black, and now Hebrew Israelites. Okay. Look at the now this is a picture that they showed of an Egyptian woman, and this is what I mean when I say the angel had Joseph take Mary and baby Jesus into Egypt. Look at this original Egyptian. This is wall covering, and then look at a modern day black woman. So, if Jesus was white, seriously, do you think him, Mary, and Joseph would have been able to hide in Egypt? I don't think so. Okay, so there we go with a black Moses, because there you go as he leads his people through the passage there. All right, so it's time for us to take our rightful inheritance. It's time for us to wake up. And let me just say this before I move on to the solar eclipses. Here's one thing that's really troubling to me as I see all of this that's going on. And see, I'm gonna be real honest with you. it's a lot of black folks that's not going to make it because we're getting ready to go through this. This is tribulation. And like I said, 2017, I really believe started. We're going to talk about it here. Um, but before we go into this, let me just say this. So every day we're seeing black people being attacked by the police, black people being attacked by other whites for just being black, you know. Oh, I'm calling the police because you're sitting here, you're not ordering anything, you're asleep, you know. But here's the thing. Even with all of this craziness going on, knowing that we're under attack, black folks, do you know I could walk past a black woman? We don't even speak to each other. We still look at each other and look at what we got on and roll our eyes. We are at war and we can't even embrace our fellow combatants because we're so fucking stuck on stupid, being jealous and envious of anybody that has something that can do something that you can't do, that you don't even realize that we're being systematically exterminated. Okay? Because you're so stuck on stupid, you worried about taking selfies and being cute. It's just really sad. So it's a lot of us. I hate to say it. It's a lot of us. And if you go back and you read the book, you read the word, don't listen to the pastors, read the word. When this happens, and I hate to say it, and I'm gonna talk about it right now, okay? That we're looking at the utter destruction of the United States of America. Some of us will make it, some of us will not. Okay? So let's talk about the solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017, dubbed the Great American Eclipse. Now I had a picture, I had a video where I actually was outside filming this while I was at work that particular day in 2017. Now, thank God I'm now retired. But if for some reason it wouldn't click over from my phone, so no problem. I'll see if I can try to post it later. But so we had a total eclipse that happened in August 21st, 2017. And as you can see, here's the eclipse here. And as you can see, it's a whole bunch of people. Everybody got really excited about this eclipse. Even President Trump was outside. They showed him and Melania, First Lady, out there on the balcony. Of course, he refused to put glasses on and looked at it directly. So, what does that tell you? Hello, I'm not even going to go there, right? All right, so that was the total eclipse of 2017. All right, now I had already been writing about the blood moons. Blood moon started in 2014. All right, so this was the total solar eclipse of 2017. And so it actually came across, look, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas City, Missouri. Uh, Greatest duration. Check that out. Two minutes 40 seconds. No, 2 miles 40. I don't know what that means. Okay, but yeah, here greatest eclipse. Okay, Tennessee, because it was in was it Egypt, Tennessee? I think it was right over there. Kentucky, South Carolina. Okay, so it's like okay, everybody thought it was a great thing. Nobody that I know of personally until I said this is not a good thing. They didn't see anything wrong with it. They they thought that it was great. It covered half of the United States. And the path of the moon's shadow begins in northern Pacific. Remember, I just showed you that? And crosses the USA from west to east through parts of the following states: Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina. Only a tiny corner of Montana and Iowa were in the eclipse path. All right. However, see, again, you got to do your homework. However, in 2024, 7 years later, 7 years from the 2017 solar eclipse, And that 7 years, if you have any Bible knowledge, that should be so significant to you. In 7 years, another eclipse is scheduled to happen. A total solar eclipse on April the 8th, 2024, which is why I need to go in there and change that end date to April 8th, 2024. And of course, it's right before my birthday. My birthday's on April the 24th, and most natural disasters, would you believe it or not, happen right around the time of my birthday? It is amazing. All right, but anyway, so the total solar eclipse of April the 8th, 2024, over Mexico, the United States, and Canada. It touches Mexico. It enters the United States at Texas. It cuts a diagonal path to Maine and visits the maritime provinces of Canada. So let's take a look at that. So here's the 2024 solar eclipse. Okay, just like it says, coming from here, past Indiana, all the way up to Canada. Okay. Now remember, we got this part last time, remember? Going this way. So if you can't remember, guess what? I have a graphic for you. So these are the total eclipses in 2017 and 2024, 7 years apart. Okay. Now, what is so significant about these two eclipses in the United States? Are you seeing something that's maybe a little mind blowing? Maybe a little earth shattering? Is that an X across America? That's an X. Look at that. Across America. I want you guys to look at that. Look at that. The total solar eclipse in 2017 and 2024. So remember the covenant that the Antichrist makes once he comes into power, that he's going to do all good until 3.5 years into his reign. And then all hell breaks loose. And this is why I say, now I gotta see if I can find this for you. um, so let's talk about this. The X across America. What is the Most High trying to tell us? According to the word of the Most High, tribulation for the chosen people will last 7 years. The Antichrist also appears on the scene and will make a 7-year peace covenant with Israel that he'll break halfway through the 7 years. This would mean Trump will be reelected, which I've said for about a year, so he can fulfill that prophecy. So remember, he's got 7-year peace covenant, okay, or a 7-year covenant, because I need to really take that word peace out, because that word peace, when I went back and read it in the word, peace is not in there. But now let's be real. Let's just be real, okay? 2017, Donald Trump went and announced that Jerusalem is now the capital of Israel, right? And that him and his son-in-law Jared Kushner were in the midst of making a covenant for Israel for peace. So does that tell you that all that took place in 2017? Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. The Antichrist appears on the scene and will make a 7-year covenant with Israel. I think that Antichrist is this person here, the first U.S. president to turn the United States over to Russia. That was the best picture I could find of him for this particular slide. But let's look at Daniel 9:27. This is the Living Bible translation. Now we're going to read this, and then we're going to talk about this man that we all know, right? This king will make a 7-year treaty with the people, but after half that time, so 3.5 years, and remember, he came in 17, 18, 19. Today, this is 19, 17, 18, 19. So we had 3 years. And since now, oh my God, we are currently in June, so that means half a year. We are at the 3.5 year mark. Okay, Jesus. All right, so I might be wrong about that. See, I have no problem saying what I might be wrong about because I was thinking that he would need 2 years in there, 2 terms, to do his destruction. But no, he might. Since we're at, oh my God, we're at 3.5 years already that this man has been in office, 17, 18, 19, and this is June of 2019. So we're talking half a year, right? Ah, jeez. Okay, so this king will make a 7 year treaty with the people, but after half that time, he will break his pledge and stop the Jews from all their sacrifices. And don't forget now, remember, if you've been watching my channel, I actually did something earlier where we talked about the Noahide laws and the third temple that they were making over there in Israel now, and that they are back to doing their sacrifices. So go back to my either my Patreon page or my Sunday Brunch page on Facebook. You should be able to see that video. Okay. So, they stopped the Jews from all their sacrifices and their offerings. Then, as a climax to all his terrible deeds, the enemy shall utterly defile the sanctuary of God. But in God's time and plan, his judgment will be poured out upon this evil one. All right. So I'm gonna have to hurry up. I think I stopped this at 4. I want to make sure that we get enough in here. Then the next wondrous sign in the sky happened September the 23rd, 2017. The sign of the woman from Revelations 12. Oh my God. Revelations 12 and the dragon. Let me pull that up right real quick over here. Okay, let's see if I can pull that up right quick. There we go, Revelation 12. Okay, there we go. Okay, okay, I like the NIV version better. It's just a little easier to understand. So let's read this. So this is what happened. So after the eclipse in August, say it again. Yep, if your pastor, some pastors were talking about it, but if your pastor wasn't talking about that, you need to leave that church ASAP. Because that lets me know he has no clue what's going on. He has no spirit of discernment. And in this day and age, you have to have discernment. I'm gonna tell you. So Revelations 12, the woman and the dragon. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. See the sun? With the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. Those are the 12 stars. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Okay. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon. Now, on this particular one, unfortunately, you can't see it, but on one of the ones that I had on here, it showed right here at her, between her legs, there was the mouth of a dragon. Like, this is why I put the dragon over here. Okay. All right. An enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. And the dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God into his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. I believe that we, the Most High's chosen people, were the ones that fled into the wilderness, and the place that he prepared for us, even though it's a hard place, was America. Because if you go back, God is always the same. He never does anything different. Because if you go back and look at what he did with the Hebrew Israelites when they were in Babylon under King Nebuchadnezzar, remember Daniel and Meshach and Abednego? They were told, go there while you're under captivity, learn what you can, do what you can, and then just stay faithful that I will release you. And I think that's what he wanted us to do here. Because think about it. Think of if we had stayed, I want you to think about this now. If we had stayed in Africa, okay, guess what? We had stayed in Africa, we might not have had the knowledge and the, you know, the knowledge and also the things that we have had a chance, even though it's been rough, we've actually had more than others have had, especially those that live in Africa. So I think the Most High knows what He's doing. That's why I tell people all the time: quit, get out of your own way, and just let go and let Him. All right. So again, August 2019, our 400 years is up, and President Donald J. Trump signs HR 1242. And then, of course, we also have the 2019 year of return for the African diaspora, where they're asking Africans to come back to, again, the blacks to come back to the land, because I love how the uh, African Union head, Dr. Can't think of her name, Erica. She says it's a brain drain, and we need the brain, because think about it. All of us have degrees, most of them degrees, this and that, but we can't even get a job in the field that we've spent all this money to get degrees in. But think what you could do with all that over in Africa or in another country. All right. So here's what I want you to think about. Since Trump became president, racism is rising. Remember this little old lady driving a lift truck? Seriously? You can't just give her a ticket. I think she forgot to put her blinker on or something. Look at that. Look at her. And then look at this kid. You see him pulling her hair? Have you ever seen them do this to a white person that they stop on a traffic stop? That's all I'm saying. So is Trump the Antichrist, a person or thing regarded as supremely evil, or as a fundamental enemy or opponent? All right, so that's what the Antichrist is: a person or thing regarded as supremely evil or as a fundamental enemy or opponent. I think he actually gets a big yes for both on that, right? So look at this. So Trump went from calling for the death penalty, went from calling for death penalty for innocent teen boys in 1989. That would be our Central Park Five guys, who are now calling themselves the, I love their new term too. Okay, I can't think about it because I got to get moving here. But okay, so we've heard about that. We talked about that in the last show with the whole Ava DuVernay's When They See Us Netflix. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you watch that, and watch it with your kids, especially if you're people of color. I don't care how young your kids are, you need to watch that with them, because now we just recently had an incident where a 10-year-old black boy was playing in his grandmother's front yard in Utah. Apparently, he's been adopted, because Utah is mostly white. And a cop comes up and tells him, "Put your 10 years old, put your hands up and get on the ground." And so he goes, "What did I do?" As he's doing what the cop tells him, the little boy's mother, white woman, runs out. "What the hell? That's a 10-year-old. What are you doing?" Cop jumps in his car and leaves. Okay. Mom calls the police. Then they make him come back and apologize to this kid. But if she hadn't ran out there, what do you think he would have did to that kid? Do you trust them with your kids? If so, why? Because I sure in the hell don't. Just recently, about 2 weeks ago, I was returning home, and it's a lot of little Mexican kids in the area that I live in. And there was a little Mexican kid. I see him all the time. I think he lives on the next street over, riding his little bike. But this particular time, he's about between the ages of 8 and 10. And so a cop had stopped him. Cop had got out of his car, was stood there talking to him, questioning him. And I got to the stoplight and I looked at him and I'm like, "Why are you questioning this 10-year-old, this kid?" And I kept looking at him and I unnerved the cop. Oh, I'm one of those. I will fuck up your world if you fuck with me and if you fuck with kids. Okay. I hate to use that strong language, but I will. So I looked at him like, "What are you doing?" And he looked at me, and then here comes another cop. And so when the other cop pulled up, the cop that was talking to the kid walks over to the car, talks to the other cop. Now they busy looking at me. Yeah, you better look at me, because I got my video camera on and I'm videotaping the hell out of you. So the little boy takes off. So the two cops stand there looking, talking, and while they looking at me, and as I'm going around the corner, and I'm still looking at them like, So I say all this to say, and I've said this on Facebook, I've said this on Twitter, people, we're living in a whole different world now. You're talking about a president. Now remember, the leader of our country, who called for the death penalty for innocent teenage boys in 1989. 14, 15, and one 16-year-old who had just turned 16. Okay. And they were innocent. And then he went from doing that in 1989 to show you how this devil has evolved to locking up immigrant kids in cages. A Trump official tried to argue that detained children don't need soap, toothbrushes, or beds to be safe and sanitary while in border custody. Let me just say this to all you Border Patrol people and all you people on the Trump administration doing this man's bidding, thinking that you're doing something good because you're making good money. Always remember what it says in the word that the sins of the father will definitely come back on the children. And you see what we are dealing with from our disobedience way back in the 15 and 1600s. Can you imagine what your kids are going to go through because of what you're doing right now today? Your kids will have to pay the price for that, and it's not going to be pretty. Look what our kids are dealing with. Do you know if we're the chosen people and we're going through all the kind of craziness where we're seeing our kids getting killed in the streets, you guys are going to get it even worse. That should be a wake-up call. And again, I'm gonna say this again: if you in churches and they're not talking about this, you need to leave, and you need to get you a good Bible and get in that Word and find out, and get on YouTube and look at some of these channels with some of these people that have left the churches and know exactly what they're talking about. Because one thing I do love when I do get on social media is I love to go on here and look at these ex-white evangelicals that were Trump supporters from day one. Now all of a sudden they see all the crazy that he's doing, and they're now 150% against him. And it is just hilarious to me because they none of them had any discernment. Any discernment. It's so sad. If my poor girlfriend, who unfortunately is no longer with us, was here, she would tell you that I told her before the election. And remember, I was working a 3:30 midnight shift, so I wasn't even watching the what do you call them, the debates and all that stuff. I told her, I said, because of the racial climate in this country, Trump's going to get in there. And I hate to say it, I think he's going to get in there again. All right, so let's talk about this as we wrap this up. The devil knows his time is short. United Nations warns that billions of locusts now gathering on both sides of the Red Sea preparing to swarm Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Did you guys see that? I don't let me see if I can find the video. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Just gonna go over here to my YouTube. And this was just this year. Just to let you know, Most High is not playing. I'm excited and fearful all at the same time because I'm gonna tell you something. My grandbaby will be 11 next week. I always had a feeling that before right about the time he turned 10, that we would be looking at some end time stuff. I'm gonna just be real honest with you. Okay. Uh, Israel. No, was that Saudi Arabia? Can't spell. Okay, let's see if I can find that. It was 6 years ago. Let's see 1 month ago. Oh, here we go. Locust swarm descend. Look at this.
Watch the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup on Fox and FS1 with YouTube TV.
So now they're eating them. Oh my God. Does that let you know that these people are crazy? Okay, so that was from CCTV, which is funded by the Chinese government, and on May 5th, 2019. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. That, yeah. So the tribulation is here, guys. It is I'm telling you. And if you're not hearing that, if you don't understand that, you need to really get in the word. All right. And I want you to remember Genesis 3:15. Okay. And so his plan is to kill as many as the Most High's chosen people using his seed to accomplish this. Because remember, the enemy has a seed too. He has his own people too. And I wrote a book about it. Let's see if I can pull up my go to Amazon.com and pull up my Seed of Satan. And I'm not trying to I'm trying to, yes, I am trying to get you to get my books because my books will help you get to where you need to be as we go through these perilous times, guys. And I'm serious. Okay. Let's see if I put in here seed of Satan, if it pops up. And I wrote about that Satan actually is oh shoot, what was it? What's it called? Seed of Satan, Leah's story. Let's see. So it just pops up. Satan seed. So we all know that there is a seed of Satan. They just don't like to talk about it. Okay, I'm gonna have to pull it up with my name. Hold on, guys. So if you ever want to get any of my books, this is what you do: Lynda D, middle initial. I always put that middle initial in there. Brown, Linda D. Brown. It's Linda, but I spell it with a Y. Okay. I don't know how this book is popping up on my feed, but I'm gonna have to talk to them about that. All right. So here is my See the Satan book, Leah story, Invisible Enemies 2. Okay, because she was, if you like the Twilight series, I kind of based on her being a paranormal author, like the lady that wrote the Twilight series, and it did not end well. See her son here with the machete. He's half he's half fallen angel because his dad is a fallen angel, and half human, and he is very evil. Okay. And I think that's what we're looking at here. Okay. So I just want to remind you again, he says, the Most High's people using his seed. Okay. So his plan, the enemy's plan, is to kill as many as the Most High's chosen people using his seed to accomplish this. God told the serpent, because you've done this, you're cursed, cursed beyond all cattle and wild animals, cursed to slink on your belly and eat dirt all your life. I'm declaring war between you and the woman, and that was the woman that we just saw. Between her, your offspring and hers, we just talked about that in the last. Let's see, in the last clip where we talked about the woman. Remember, right there. See, that's the woman he's talking about right there. They gave birth. So it all adds up, guys. It does. If you think the Bible is boring, you really don't. You haven't read it because there's some stuff in there that would make my whole Invisible Enemy series is basically based on what I read in the Bible and also the books of the Apocrypha. Those are the books that are not in the Bible because they hid them, because they also told us who we were. Okay. All right. Again, trying to wrap this up. And the church has also been found wanting. Look at our church. Is this a lukewarm church or what? So President Trump's biggest supporters are white and black evangelical Christians who turn a blind eye to this man's immoral character. I've said this many times before. The Republicans and Christians use the Most High and his words for political purposes only. So they're only using him. Um, I pity them because they seriously don't know who they're messing with. So to end this, guys, again, I'm not trying to sell my books, but listen, I'm here, high school education. Nothing great, no straight A student, just an average student. Had a epiphany, an affinity is what I want to say for having my own company. Never like working for anybody. Always had a love for the kid, all the way up until I would say just recently, 2014. I had to walk away from the church because Michael Brown, like I said, lived less than 6 miles away from my house, and pastors were not talking about that. The black pastors, they just ignored the situation, like they were in front of a whole congregation of white folks that didn't want to hear that crap, and I just could not believe it. And I said, I actually reached out to Kenneth Copeland Ministries because I was one of his members, and talked about my concerns that I had about the racism that was happening. And he sent me a free book about racism in the church, and that was it. And then next thing I know, after I walked away from them, I see him all hooked up with the Pope. I'm like, oh my God, you got me away from them just in time. So there is something that I do want to share with you guys. I have this book that the Most High put it on my heart. I got to tell you this story. In 2012, I wrote this book, Powerful Prayer to Protect and Bless Your Family. Empower your family with God's word, because he has shown me how to use his words. And I had started, putting different things together. Like when I found out we had a covenant with him in Genesis, start putting that in there. I started what we call commanding my morning, because it's planning the heavens and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of that stuff is in there. And I'm going to tell you, my life changed, I can't complain. And honestly, it keeps getting better and better, because I've seen the stuff that I've asked him to do for me, and he's done it. And when it finally hits you, because sometimes we're so busy that we don't even realize that he's done it. And when it finally hits you, all you can do is just sit back and just tears just fall, because what I'm doing right now, guys, I saw myself doing this when I was a kid, but I thought I was going to be on a television. I had no clue I would actually be able to do this from my own studio in my own home and still reach people, because I'm talking to people all over the world. Most of my friends on my Powerful Prayer to Protect and Bless Your Family Facebook page are scattered all over the world, Scandinavia, Portugal, all over the world. So I love that. So you know what? Don't let people, anybody that constantly tells you you can't do something, you need to get away from them. I don't let men, I don't let my family members, anybody that is not for what I'm trying to do. I'm nice to them, but I can't have them in my life, because they're too destructive, and there's too many things that I still need to do. So I do want to share my book, Powerful Prayer to Protect and Bless Your Family. It's time for us to fight back against the devil, and I'm going to show you. Did you know that the Most High created a covenant with his people and gave us directions on how to fight back until he arrives? Let me show you how to keep you and your family safe. The churches refuse to teach this. They prefer you depend on a man, pastor, priest, or whatever, instead of reading the word. And unfortunately, that's what so many of us do, because we're so lazy. We prefer to let somebody tell us what to do. And it's so sad, because you really don't understand what you're missing out on. Um, but I do want to share with you a prayer protection that I do say daily. And I want to remind you, here's why you need to say this, because can I tell you something? The Most High got on me not too long ago, because I had got a little lax, not getting up. I'm usually wakes me up about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm just as lazy sometimes as everybody else, because I used to get up and grab my Bible and and get to reading some passages and this and that. Now I get up and I just kind of try to have a conversation with him, thank him, and this is what I usually say, because, like I said, we have to have that protection. And I have a son that leaves home, because he's a personal trainer. He leaves home early in the morning. All right. So this is what I always say. So this is my prayer that I'd like to share with you guys, that I say as a prayer protection every day. And I'm really asking you to go on my website, onenationnetworktv.com. And I'm going to post that on there as well. So you get a copy of my paperback book. I've got some here. I'll autograph it and then ship it right out to you. They're like $12.95 plus shipping and handling. But listen, Most High, this is my prayer of protection that I say daily. You got to learn how to speak this over you and your kids. Okay. Thank you that me and my family are always in the right place at the right time, and never at the wrong place at the wrong time. Thank you for your precious blood that covers me, my family, my friends, our cars, our homes, schools, workplaces, every place the sole of our feet steps upon. I decree is covered by the blood of the Most High, and I loose warrior angels to encamp themselves around us to keep us from evil every day. And like I said, I had got a little lax, and I can tell when I'm being attacked because, see, when I have that inside, people, how can I say this? Okay, I'll put it to you this way. I had this conversation with a pastor one day, and we were both laughing because it had happened to both of us. Because I remember him in the pulpit one day saying, you know, people that don't know you can see your light. And depending on where their heart is, they're going to either be kind to you or they're going to be nasty to you. He said, case in point, I was in this like a schnooks. He said, and I went over to go get something out of the deli counter. And the young lady back there that was behind the counter, she looked at me. He said she rolled eyes, was all nasty and evil. And I was like, I don't even know her. Why is she so nasty to me? And he said, that's when the Most High, she sees your light. That happens to me all the time. All the time. But you know what? Your light should shine. Because I know that when around somebody that just doesn't like me and they don't even know me, they're not of God. Okay. So they're supposed to not like me because we are natural born enemies. Okay. I will keep my distance, but I'll start binding them spirits. See, because my book, I'll teach you how to bind and loose because one of the things that he taught us was how to bind and loose. And we have to look. Did you hear me say I'm loosing warrior angels to encamp themselves around us to keep us from evil? You have to learn how to do that. And it should come so natural to you that you know that, I mean, to this point, I'm okay with where my son is, where my grandbabies are, because I know that they're covered by the blood. Okay. So my books will help protect you and your family. You can purchase my books on my website, which is onenationnetworktv.com. For the paperback books, I do have those in stock. Amazon.com if you're looking for the ebooks or the paperback book, or and Barnes, and also the ebook and Barnes and Nobles. Okay, and you can also find them at Books a Million as well. All right, guys. Well, believe it or not, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you guys coming on. And let's see if I can just go ahead and just take the show out this way. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye bye. Okay.